Shraddhan deva yajamana vayugopa upasate hridaya kotya shraddhaya hundate bhuyate havihi. Actually, in the Rigveda, there is also another form, vindate vasuhu. Shraddhaya vindate vasuhu. Another patantara is that in Rigveda. But since we are following the Yajurveda system, we will retain our. We are studying the meaning of the Shraddha Sukta. Of course, the earlier 3 volumes are already. My commentary is already there on the Google Drive under the heading Shraddha Sukta. So this is the 4th mantra. That will also go up eventually. Yeah. Yajamanaha upa asate. So Yajamana is the one who is doing anything. So whatever project you take, you are the Yajamana, because you have taken the responsibility of executing that. Even as simple as you want to go to work. So for going to work, you have to do many things. You have to get dressed, you have to get ready, you have to get your car ready, you have to drive, you have to arrive. So for these acts of getting ready and you were going to work, who is the Yajamana? You are the Yajamana. Because this Yajamana, unless you have completely in commitment to what you have to do, in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end, that work will not get completed. If you want to go to work, you have not only to get ready, not only you got to get started, but you have to actually reach your place also. So every single step that you are doing, Yajamana, he will be in the close proximity of the project to be done. So upa means close, asate means you sit or you actually sit, you are seated close by. Any indifference at any point of time, the project will not get completed. So the sage here is saying, just as you follow many of the things because you are really committed to complete the project. Let us say I have to eat. So you are hungry. And then until such time your hunger is satisfied, you keep eating. And therefore what does it mean? You are closely sitting with the project until the outcome you desire has been completed. And this is very simple, mundane, everyday thing. But what about the spiritual life? What about the highest realization that you have to achieve in your life? When you have to reach something that is really, really high, usually what happens, we lose steam. In fact, there is a beautiful Subhashita which says, Anarambho manushyanam prathamam buddhi lakshanam. Anarambho manushyanam, that is not starting a project at all, is the first sign of intelligence of human beings. Prathamam buddhi lakshanam. First sign of intelligence is you don't start a project at all. Because as soon as somebody says you take up this project, and then you will visualize, oh my God, I got to put in so much of hard work, so I'll not even start. Because if you start, there is a temptation, somebody will be judging you, or you will yourself feel bad, oh my God, I started this project, I have not completed. So 99% of the people, unless it has got something very, very selfish, my eating, my money, my comfort, so all very base instincts. Ahara, nidra, bhaya, maithunani. That is eating food, or making sure that we don't get afraid, or we don't get challenged. Sleep, rest. And then other than that, our interest is not sustaining. That's the key. Sustained interest is what is being recommended here. Then what happens? If the sustained interest is there in whatever project you commit to. In fact, here also, there is another Subhashita which purports to say that do not even take up a project unless you have completely examined that project A is of interest to you, and secondly, that project you have got some talent. You will not have the perfect talent. You will have enough, some talent, and then you have a confidence that you will actually expand your ability to take up and complete the entire project, and then examine everything, evaluate everything, just like we develop software. You don't just jump and start do coding. You have to completely work through the entire specifications, otherwise you will not do that. And therefore, very important is that you think through, and once you have thought through and you say that I am going to take up this project, then you must stay very, very close by and committed to that project. Why is this emphasis? Because what do we see in the world? In the world, Arambha Shuratvam. That means there will be a lot of enthusiasm when you start and commence a project, and then slowly it fizzles out. And especially it will happen when there is something very, 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 very important, but it's not urgent. When things are very important but not urgent, then what we do is we give up in a minute. Classic example is our own spiritual life. Classic example is where we have taken up the study of a scripture, because when we take up a study of the scripture, the learning of the self is of extraordinary importance, is of the highest importance in fact. But then what do we do? Because it's not urgent. And fortunately for us, in our wisdom, they say that you take rebirth. They don't tell you that this is the only last life you have got. If you die now, that's the end. You have to do it before you die. Tarayavanna vidyate. Before this vessel falls down, you have got to do. Since nobody tells us, they will say, you can take another one. We'll do it then. Kalohhyayam niravadhir vibulacha prithvi. Kalohhyayam niravadhi. Time is endless. There is no boundary on time, isn't it? Vibulacha prithvi. The world is wide. So therefore, whenever, next janma, other janma, third janma, because it is not urgent. So here, when we do not commit in that way, the sage is saying, what happens? When it is there, all the devas, deva means, you remember last week I said, deva means all our sense organs, which are alert and functioning. All the sense organs that are alert and functioning will come into razor sharp focus for what you have to do. Especially, suppose you are going on the road, and then you see a lot of traffic is there. People are flipping back and forth and here and there. How much of focus you have got on the traffic? You really concentrate on the traffic, isn't it? And then especially you would do that if you have your young baby in the car, because you feel responsible for your child. So that's all our senses. When you pay this attention, when you worship this Shraddha, then what happens? All your devas, the sense organs, will become perfectly tuned. So Shraddham Yajamanaha Devaha, these devas, what they do is Vayu Gopa Upasate. Vayu Gopa means your own life breath. If you are going in, I don't know if any of you have driven in Route 5 in Los Angeles, everybody will be going at 75 miles an hour, and then it is bumper to bumper traffic. Speed limit is 65 or 70, but everybody goes no less than 80. And if you don't keep up the same speed, because you are only hardly 2 or 3 feet from the next bumper, if you don't keep up that speed, and when you are changing lanes, if you don't do it with great alacrity, then what happens? There is going to be a pile-up. 100, 200 cars gets piled up. So how much of focus do you have there? no matter whatever is bothering you. All your prana shakti is in focus because it's a question of your survival. But here, and that should be the level of commitment when you are worshipping Shraddha Devi. That is why she is saying, Shraddham yajamanaha devaha vayugopa upasate, as though it is your life, it is at stake. One has to take up this project. One has to follow the spiritual path. In fact, there is another beautiful Subhajita which says, you must actually earn wealth and then knowledge as though you will never get old and as though you will never die. You will never get old, you will never die. Ajara maravat prajnaha vidyam artham cha sadhayet. As though death is holding us by the hair and then said, this is the moment, get out of fear. I am going to take you to the next janma. But there is an urgency there. Grihita iva kesheshu mrityuna dharma macharet. The Shraddha vayugopa upasate means what? Vayugopa, as though your prana shakti is going to escape now and I want to hold on to my life force. With that kind of anxiety, with that kind of focus, with that kind of concentration, one must be focused in their spiritual life. If you do that in the spiritual life, because spiritual life is not important, is not urgent, isn't it? But you are used to do this in things that are urgent. And therefore, if you exercise the same sense of urgency as efficiently as you do your urgent activities, so well you will also achieve the spiritual progress. So we also need we also need a guidance as to how to do it. And therefore, the mantra is saying, Shraddham hridayaya akutya. Hridaya means heart. Actually, the Sanskrit word hridaya is etymology, I think I have given earlier also. Hridi ayam tishtati iti. It is here that your original being is. Where is Atman? Where is Brahman? This Brahman is here. Where? Wherever it is Hridaya or the heart. That's why it is called as the cave of the heart. And that cave of the heart is the infinite space called Chidakasha or Chidambara. In that infinite space, you have in that Hridaya, with that continuous attention, unbroken continuous attention, just like one railway engine pulls 150 cars, isn't it? How many? They don't put an engine for each car. One engine for 150 cars. All the 150 cars are dragged by one engine, isn't it? This Shraddha is that one engine which will drag your body, deha, it will drag your sense organs, indriya, it will drag your mind, manas, all of them in tandem. So now what is happening? Especially this will happen when we are actually chanting mantra, or when you are chanting Vishnu Sahasranama, Lalita Sahasranama, and all those Sahasranamas which you are familiar, which you have learned by heart. At that point of time, body will be somewhere, mind will be somewhere, your thoughts will be somewhere, your intellect will be somewhere. And then we keep on saying every day for the last 42 days, one mandala, I am chanting Vishnu Sahasranama and still my difficulties have not gone. How can it go? Because this one engine is pulling your emotions only, isn't it? Your body and then your sense organs, they're all delinked. We don't know where they are even we don't know even if they are on the track at all. It could be anywhere. So therefore, here he is saying, Shraddham Hridayaya Akutya. Ku means to sing, to cry. Every part of the being must be crying, calling out, and then cooing. It's actually cooing. That's it, Sanskrit word ku. Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakam Vande Valmiki Kokilam. So what is it doing? It is sitting there on the perched on the tree and then it's saying ku ku ku. This kaku is saying Rama 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 Rama. It means with body, with mind, everything is being dragged and brought by this Shraddha. So Shraddham Deva Yajamanaha Vayukopa Upasate Shraddham Hridayaya Akutya Shraddhaya Huyate Havihi. When you offer an oblation, when you do a homa, when you offer an oblation, when you do a namaskara, you go to a temple and prostrate before. In your home, in your puja room, you do prostration. You do prostration to your guru, devata, mata, pitru, mother, father, teacher, your guru, and all of these. When you are bowing down, it should be hridayaya, akutya, the body, the sense organs, the mind, the emotion, intellect, everything must be in complete focus of the Shraddha. The reason is, again, our own experience. How much of puja we have done, how much of worship we have done, how much of pilgrimage we have done, how much of scriptural study we have done. All these things we have done over and over and over. Why is it we are not getting peace of mind? Why is it we are not getting any comfort? Why is it that light of knowledge is not dawning upon us? Here in this mantra it says it is because Hridayaya Akutya, it had not happened. Huyate Havihi. Havis means it is the oblations offered into the sacred fire according to the procedure prescribed. And then if you do that, what happens? This Agni to which you are offering the oblations, Om Bho Swaha Suryaya Idan Namama, we say that. And then you have this fire there, and you have the ghee with you, and then you say Agnaye Swaha Agnaye Idan Namama. What was your intention? The intention is that this ghee, which represents the quintessence of my devotion, I am offering this. May this havis go to the deity Surya. Then if Akutya Hridayaya Shraddha is there, then Agni is the one who Vahati Vidhihutam. He Vidhihutam. Vidhina Hutam. That means done in a proper manner. Vidhina Hutam, when it is offered in a proper manner, then Agnihi, the sacred fire, Vahati, takes it to the respective god. If we just throw things into from somewhere without focus, without concentration, just shouting Swaha, Swaha. You have to see all the yajnas how they perform. They simply think you have to throw things into the fire. And they do this, and then they will say, we did Chandi so many thousand times, and then we did Rudra Homa, and then nothing is happening. Why no transformation is taking place? Because it was not Vidhihutam. And now this mantra is saying, Shraddhaya Huyate Havihi. It is only when it is offered with this Shraddha, very interesting thing happens. Now, just look at how, when you offer an oblation, how does it go and reach that particular deity? Fortunately for us, our computer science has grown enough for us to use the metaphor. How do you send information? Isn't it through packets? Isn't it? We send information through packets. So what do? You key something, and then after you key something, you say that send. Across the globe it will go somewhere. How do you make sure that it goes exactly to the person to whom you have sent? Exactly as you have sent. Not even one single data element will be lost. Why is that? If the Shraddhaya Huyate Havihi was not there in the hardware, software, fortunately we didn't create that hardware, software. If we had created, it would have gone anywhere. So somebody with Shraddha did that, and therefore it is going where it has to go. Otherwise, just imagine we are talking, we are gossiping about somebody, we are telling some very juicy things about one person, and then you send that as an email, WhatsApp to. So it is not, that Vahati Vidhihutam will not take place. It will not go in the proper manner you want, it will go into the wrong hands. That is how everybody is caught, isn't it? Somebody posts something on Facebook, somebody posts on Twitter, and then they think that it is very private. But it's the most public. It is because it was not sent with you. It was not sent with Shraddhaya Hridayaya Akutya. And therefore in this mantra, what it is saying is, Upasate is the key word. It is only when from the beginning of the project, the end of the project, actually you are with your project, constantly monitoring. Only when that happens, then whatever prayers you do, whatever offerings you give, it will become effective. Therefore, Shraddhaya Huyate Havihi. So this is actually a motion of the spirit. Because all that I'm talking is, you may try to map it to some ghee or some fire. They're all gross things. Even the mind is gross. Even the body is, of course, gross. But what is moving there is, it is a movement of the spirit. In all our endeavors, especially in spiritual endeavor, everything is moving. The body is moving, our voices is moving, we are chanting several mantras, we are doing the various rituals. You see so much movement, so much activity, but there is one critical thing which has to move, is not moving, and that is the spirit. If my spirit also doesn't move along with my body and my worship and my prayer, Shraddhaya Akutya, and it is with Upasana, that is sitting in close proximity, then there will be no success at all. And hence, this essence of this mantra is, Shraddha is a motion of the spirit. And this motion of the spirit, what it does, it impels. It impels all the Deva, Saddhan Deva Yajamana. The spirit of the Yajamana moves the Deva, that is sense organs, which is gross, but all the divine forces in the cosmos, it moves. Think about that. That is why when a sage like Vasishtha or Vishwamitra offer their harvest, they do yajna, immediately all the gods will appear before them. Because it's the movement of the spirit. And not movement of the voice, movement of a sound, not movement of a body. And that movement of the spirit is what the sage calls it as upasate. When this movement of the spirit is sent, and that spirit impels all divine things. That is why when a person of extraordinary spiritual eminence, when he blesses you, and that bless will become true. That's why they say that when a noble person blesses, it will never become false. And then all the objects in between, they move. All the objects move. All the thoughts throughout, that moves. And it rolls through all the things. This phrase is not mine. This is Wordsworth. On the what is that? Tintum Abbey. So this is a beautiful poem in iambic pentameter that he wrote. Here he says, of something far more deeply infused. I'm reading Wordsworth. Of something far more deeply infused. When dwelling in the light of the while dwelling in the light of the setting suns, of something far more deeply infused, whose dwelling is the light of the setting suns, and the round ocean, and the living air, and the blue sky, and in the mind of man, a motion and a spirit that impels all thinking beings, all objects of all thought, and rolls through all things. What a beautiful commentary on this mantra. It is I'll give you Chintam. Tintern Abbey. It is called Tintern Abbey. Lines composed a few miles from Tintern Abbey. So you can go to internet and read the whole the lines that are relevant to us. So what is this Shraddhaya huyate havihi Shraddham deva yajamanaha Vayugopa upasate, is where your spirit is behind the havis that you are giving, and the whole universe moves to your tune. Beautiful mantra.